Here we are, guys. Entombed Valley is the map, of course, and in the upper left we have our Protoss player who picked this map. Not a surprising choice for a Protoss player at all. From CheckSix, it is perfect. And in the lower right part of the map, in the purple, from the team Karont3 Esports Club, winner of the last game to tie things up, it is Vortex.
And PvZ action now. And I believe our version of Entombed Valley is forced cross spawns, but I'm not sure about it. Though, conclusively, we've seen about 15 matches on this, and they've all been cross spawns. So
yeah, I mean,
one could only hope.
Is that non-cross spawns on this map are a little bit ridiculous. Even if it is like a right versus right side versus right side, top versus bottom. It's just kind of a weird layout. So yeah, I think most versions of this map that are played in tournaments are cross spawns now, and I believe ours is as well. And let's talk about the map a little bit more. It's a tough map for Zerg. It really can be, because it's so hard to take your third. You have to break through the rocks, which is difficult to do early in the game with the current way that Zergs like to play this matchup. And that's a big reason for why Vortex picked this as well. The other thing to kind of consider is where you're going to take your fourth base, right? Yeah. It's pretty likely that the Zerg is going to be able to take a third in most games, right? But where do you take your fourth? It's going to be a lot easier generally for Protoss to do that than for Zerg on this map.
That's right. So Forge coming out now for perfect, and we'll see how he wants to follow this up, if he's going to prove to be very strong. Two-base attack. This is a pretty predictable spot for this Forge Fast Expand to go down. Some players will even decide to full wall this off, so it keeps them super safe against early aggression, take the destructible rocks down at their own time, and then go after a quick third base. Similar to we see on maps on like Metropolis or Ohana. They all kind of have the similar sort of idea of players are intending to go for those three bases.
Yeah, generally Zergs want to be the aggressors in this matchup right now. You want to be able to get to that point where you're either getting aggressive with Ling Roach, or you're getting aggressive with just Mass Roach, and then moving into Broodlords a little bit later in the game. But overall, I mean, it seems like a matchup where Zerg is very defensive. Yeah. But in reality, Zerg really wants to get out there and stop Protoss from getting that third base. They want to kill those Protoss armies as early and as often as they can. So even though Zerg a lot of times is forced to play more defensive, this is really a matchup where Zerg prefers to be the aggressor if possible, right? And that's another reason why this map is going to be good for perfect, because it's difficult to attack up those ramps if you're going into the natural, the third base, things like that. Yeah. So, well, I'm curious to see how Vortex is going to handle it. He is going for that 3 hatch, no gas, but where he will go from there, time will only tell.
That's right. So 3 hatches are down now. The second Nexus is pretty close to finish, though, for perfect, and he is, like I said, going down a very predictable path at the moment. 2 gases just coming up at the same time, continuing to produce those probes, and nothing looks too out of the ordinary for him. We'll see if he decides to full wall this, and he has indeed left a gap, and then changes to decide to move the gap right here, but it's still a gap.
Well, you don't want the gap right next to your cannon, right? Yeah, it's going to be tough. Run, probe, run! Oh, wow, it was close, but the Zealot does get in. The probe lives, though, so that's kind of nice.
Did you see that, though? That was really cute. Perfect tried to hit the Zergling so that it would stop moving for half a second and take the second shot from the cannon there.
I think he misclicked a little bit, but it's tough to right-click a moving Zergling. Well, I'll say that. It's tough to right-click a moving Baneling, and they're even slower.
That's right.
So Vortex is in a position to get a little bit of scouting done. A little bit later, he doesn't want to run around right now because he knows that there's just not a lot to see, and he doesn't want to waste that scouting potential. Right. But in a minute or two, he's going to be able to get some good info on there. That's right. And if he checked the Forge right now, he would see that there is +1 on the way for CheckSix perfect.
It's about 1 minute from now, though. A little bit less than that now. That we will start to see a couple more gas if he's going to go down a heavy tech route. So Zergling certainly being annoying. Running around there, he will be able to make it back down before the Stalker does come up, and should be able to get a scout on any potential gas coming out from perfect.
Except for the cannon, I think it's going to kill him.
Is it close enough? Can he sneak?
Oh yeah, he will absolutely die to that cannon.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
100% he would die to that cannon.
All right, well, a couple more gas are coming up, and he should be able to spot it from the high ground right there. And maybe even able to pick up on that robotics facility.
That is an odd place to build the robo facility, especially if you want to hide it from the Zergling. Yeah, with the Stalker coming out, he's not going to be able to do anything with that.
Yep.
And so the Scout doesn't really see a whole lot. Roach Warren now on the way for Vortex. Probably going to see that Evo chamber. And how many drones has he gotten up to? About, yeah, 39 drones.
Right.
Usually it's around this time you see those buildings going down, and then you usually see another round of drones to get up to like 50, 60-ish. And then it's at this point, Zerg has to really pay attention. They really want to get the information to decide to help them make the decision to use the larva on drones, because you want to be on around 70 at this point, or units if you need to. Now here's kind of the surprising thing about the way Vortex is playing this. Look at his Overlord positioning right now. He doesn't really have Overlords in any good spots, to be completely honest with you. He's trying to actually scout this with Zerglings, but he doesn't have an Overlord anywhere on perfect side of the map. That Zergling is not going to do him any good, man.
Yep.
It sees the forge, but that's about it. I mean, that doesn't really give him a whole lot of information. When you're playing this matchup, you want an Overlord to be able to scout the gases of the natural, and ideally you want an Overlord in a position to be able to, sacrifice into their main too and see what they're doing. So I gotta say, Vortex a little bit slacking on his scouting this game. That may come back to haunt him.
That is true, and we see that the Robo's finished up now, and it's going to go right into no. It's actually just going to be observers to be used alongside the Blink for now, with +2 weapons coming out. So a little bit of a blast from the past. Perfect, maybe going down a heavy Blink timing here. We'll see if he adds on any additional gateways in a second.
I was going to say, why is he not making warp gates? I was worried he forgot warp gate research for a second.
That has certainly happened.
Seen it before.
We saw Kibikaki drop out of a game completely because he was like, well, forgot warp gate, see you later.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
Oh, Kibikaki.
Yeah.
I always love that guy. He was so much fun to watch play.
Definitely. He's one of the best mothership users out there in StarCraft 2, for sure.
But I'm glad to see that more people are using them now, so we're not going to see them completely taken out of the game.
I really hope not. I hope that they stay in the game. It's kind of weird that we have these like one-of units in StarCraft 2. It's a bit of a strange
the hero units
mechanic for a StarCraft game, I think. But the mothership really adds an interesting dynamic, and I would hate to see that go away. I really hope it stays.
Well, looks like Vortex does have a Zergling in position to be able to pick up on when these units are coming up, and the next phase is going down. And we'll see if he's able to react to that appropriately. He does have a fair number of roaches out there, and is just continuing to pump those in at the same time he gets ventral sacks as well.
This is interesting. I would say that this is maybe a bit of an ill-advised attack from Vortex, and that just may have helped prove my point a little bit here. He's making a ton of roaches. Speed is not quite done yet, so that was kind of a bit of an anti-timing movement there right before speed and +1 finishes. Vortex definitely a little bit off his game today, I gotta say. This game is not... I've been impressed by him in the past, not so much this game. He's making some little mistakes that are going to have some big implications later on. He's still doing good on his macro. I mean, he's got a large amount of supply. He's doing a pretty good job of kind of setting himself up for a good later game, but it's just little things here and there. The lack of scouting, that kind of weird attack and bad timing that we just saw. It's something that Perfect can kind of capitalize on if he gets the opportunity. It looks like, though, he's content to just sit back, play a little bit more defensive. He's got the Robo Bay on the way. He's walled that off with gateways as well. So Perfect is still in a pretty good spot, but I'm curious to see how he's going to handle whatever sort of drop play we're going to see from Vortex.
And could be very interesting as well. We see the abundance of Overlords coming up. Well, that's actually because he's a little bit supply blocked right now, so just clearing them up for the rest of the game. Yeah, just a little bit of weird play out of both our teams so far, but it looks like this is going to be the big doom drop.
It's going to be interesting. He's putting a lot into this one drop, man. I love it. I love this kind of thing, but this is a big risk.
Yeah,
he's got to do a ton of damage with this drop, or he's going to be in big trouble.
All right, well, here comes Vortex now, right up the guts, and what does Perfect have in position? Not a lot. The first 2 units are going to drop right down on top of all of these probes. That's actually going to be a little bit of economic damage. More units actually making their way into the main now. May even be able to pick off the robotics bay technology if he wants, which would be a pretty good win. May even just outright get a couple of Nexus kills.
Wow, this is so crazy, and he's attacking at the third at the same time. He's going to be able to take out a lot of tech in the main, potentially. Here comes the army of Perfect, but it has to squeeze up that little ramp, and that's not going to be enough stalkers to really handle it. Zealot squeezing through that narrow choke, and here's where the burrow comes in. So despite a little bit of sloppiness earlier in the game, Vortex definitely doing a little bit of damage with this. He's killed a lot of probes, I think.
No kidding.
Yeah,
33 already.
Not bad.
His opponent's down to 29 workers now. It's 81 supply to 172 at the moment. 16 roaches being constructed at a time for Vortex off of these 4 bases that he now has up. And as we can see as well, Spires being added in now, so his economy is great. He just destroyed his opponent's economy and the 3rd base. Things are looking very bad for Perfect right now.
This turned out really, really well. I actually really like this strategy on this map. That's really cool, man. I mean, the way he handled it was actually really, really good. Perfect has a great army against this unit composition, but the way in which it engaged and the way in which it made Perfect respond to it worked out really, really well for Vortex.
That's right. And it looks like Drop Part 2 is coming in now, as he will be able to do a little bit of extra damage while all of these units are pulled away. Perfect's actually way out of position right now.
Yep, and more damage is going to be done. Will he be able to kill the Nexus potentially? I don't know. I think it'd be almost better to go after, again, some of those gateways and production buildings, but that Nexus is so low, it is definitely going down.
Yeah, bye-bye. There it falls. Second Nexus has gone down. If he gets all 3...
I actually think he will.
That's
and yeah,
right.
He certainly will. Perfect going for the counterattack now. He's just going to try to base trade it.
Oh, my. So 3 Nexuses have fallen. This is it for Perfect. He has got to win the game with this army that's on the map right now. Even a few probes are pulled in tow along with this.
Yep. And, I mean, one thing that Perfect does have going for him is that Vortex does not have an army here. Yeah, all the probes being pulled, trying to defend, using that to buffer for the roaches. Not a lot of force fields. This is going to work just fine, and I think Vortex is going to win this game.
That's right. And so Perfect, I thought there was a GG there for a second, but no, he's just not rebuilt his base. There's a GG, and Vortex has taken his 2nd game in a row.
Wow.
And that puts Karont3 Esports Club up 2-1.
You know,